Welcome back to Setup Review, Episode 2, the series where I give you guys tips and tricks to improve your own personal setups, and in this video I will be giving you guys ratings on things such as cable management and your overall setups. Let's get right into this video. Alright, starting off episode 2, we're gonna have Wonder's setup. As we can see here, he has a nice little NZXT H510. He hasn't actually built his PC yet, so he will in the future, and I'm sure it will look pretty good. Over here on his desk, we have a nice little cool Lego setup, and some little things to accent his setup, which I really like, and they look pretty clean. But for the matches here, I just put them in a drawer or something, because they don't really need to be on your desk. For the third picture here, we have a custom keyboard with a nice coiled cable, a glorious wrist rest, and a G305 mouse. So very nice peripherals, and his cousin actually drew his logo onto his monitor. So if you want to take that off, just take a towel and some water, maybe some soap, and it will come right off if that's Sharpie. And from his last picture here, he has some super nice 3D wall foam panels, which I am a really big fan of, and I think they look super cool. He has a laptop setup here, so for his laptop setup, it's pretty cool. For cable management, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5, as you did a decent job, but it could be much better. For this cable on the floor, either if it's short, route it against the baseboard, or if it's long enough, route it under your desk. For your boom arm here, instead of wrapping it around, take some zip ties, route the cable on the top of it, and then over that and down. This will make it look so much better, and you will still have lots of slack so that you can bend up and down the boom arm. And also, the cables under the monitor can easily be mounted down the monitor and then hidden under the desk. He has a laptop setup, so I'm not really going to say anything about these cables other than maybe getting a USB hub so that you have one cable instead of a bunch over there. But overall, I'm going to give his setup a 4.5 out of 5 because I think the setup looks really cool and it's a great laptop setup. And let's move on to the next one. The next one is going to be from Danvertable. He has a really cool looking 2-monitor setup and a nice PC. His setup is raised off the carpet with a little platform on the carpet. It's probably like some piece of plastic or wood, I'm not really sure. He has an RGB mouse pad that is bent over that, so either lift up this monitor and put it on the mouse pad or space it out. This monitor isn't actually currently attached to his PC because he's waiting for an adapter. So in that case, I say just take it off the desk, as it's kind of just in the way for right now until you get it working. But for your speakers here, you actually have them behind it, blocking a lot of the sound. So I just recommend taking both of the speakers and putting them on the right side. It may sound a little bit weird, but it'll probably sound better than having the sound play from the monitors. Or even turn it on its side so that they're facing both at you instead of behind the monitors. I'm going to give his cable management a 4 out of 5, as these cables are just hanging down, and the cables behind the computer. All these cables can be zip tied down the monitor, and these ones can be zip tied together so that you don't see them anymore. I'm going to give his overall setup a 4.5 out of 5 as well, because I really like the setup. It's just the cables that aren't very good. But anyways, let's move on to the third setup. This one is going to be from SameJC. He has a really nice looking laptop setup that I'm a really big fan of. I really like how symmetrical it is, where you have 2 speakers, your mic is there, so you have a headphone stand, and then a plant's there, so you have like some clock speaker looking thing. He has some really nice looking peripherals, and the laptop looks pretty good as well. I really like how clean your setup looks, and it's a super clean looking laptop setup. For cable management, I don't know if that's like a laptop charger that you need to take out a lot, but if it's permanent, route it with this cable using some zip ties, and just zip tie these cables together, make them look a lot tighter, and it will make the under the desk look so much cleaner. I'm a really big fan of this blue RGB strip, but I am wondering, why do you have the RGB strip? Oh, there. You can easily see the hotspots, so what I recommend doing here is picking up a diffusal sheet, and I'll have a picture up on the screen somewhere of what I'm talking about. But anyways, I'm gonna give his setup a 4.8 out of 5, as the cables do look good other than these cables here and the ones from the laptop. So once again, I recommend picking up a USB hub, but I'm a really big fan of your setup here. And let's move on to the next one. This one is gonna be from Scxrpion. Scxrpion has a super cool PC case. It is number 906 out of 999 made. It is the Lianli Lancool Champagne Edition, which is a super nice looking case, and it is one of my favorite cases that I've ever seen. because it just looks super good. As for the rest of his setup, I highly recommend just doing some cable management, and Scxrpion does some really cool things. He doesn't just build keyboards, but he completely designs the PCB. As we can see here, this keyboard he made and it looks super cool. And if you want to talk to Scxrpion, you can find his Discord in the description along with everyone else's in the video. And if anyone has socials, it will be linked in the description as well. I will be doing a video on Scxrpion on the keyboard that he built here. He spent a month designing and building this keyboard here. He completely designed this PCB himself, and this keyboard is super cool, and we will be making a video together on it, and it will be coming out Wednesday or Saturday next week. It's going to be a great video, so I highly recommend staying tuned for it. For the rest of your setup, I really like the setup other than a few things. The cable management, the mic cable, and I just pick up a dual monitor mount instead of using books. It will just add so much more room to your desk because this won't be there, and it will look much cleaner. But anyways, let's move on to the next setup. But wait, I didn't give his setup a rating. I give Scxrpion's cable management a 3 out of 5 for cable management because that is a lot of cables. But for his overall setup, I'm super big fan of all of the keyboards, mice, all the stuff on his desk. I love it. He built all of this stuff, and I'm a really big fan of building stuff like that. So I'm gonna give his setup a 4 out of 5 overall. Let's move on to the next setup. This one is gonna be from Pug. Pug has a super minimalistic setup, but the cables do need some more work. These were his cables before the start of the episode. He had a huge mess of cables that he completely changed around for these pictures. His setup has completely changed, and it's changed for the better. He has a really nice Corsair 280X case or 240X. I'm not sure what the case is called, but it's one of my favorite cases, and I'll have the correct spelling for the case up on screen. He has a single monitor setup, a glorious Model O, and a nice looking keyboard. And I'm a really big fan of your PC. It has a 2700X and an RTX 2060. Very nice setup. The only thing you have to work on is cable management. Cable management is going to get a 3 out of 5, and for your overall setup, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because I really like what you have going on here. It's just the cables. Let's move on to Nut's setup. He has a really cluttered setup. Just the way the mouse pad looks makes it look super cluttered, and you have a bunch of cables there and stuff in the corner. So what I recommend doing here is picking up some zip ties, mounting these cables down the monitor, taking this cable, routing it straight instead of left, and along with your mouse as well. And I highly recommend picking up some sort of drawer from Dollarama for $4 so that you can put all this stuff in there, or just move it somewhere else in your room along with the controller as well. I'm gonna give his cable management a 3 out of 5 as it could easily be mounted very well, but it just doesn't look good the way it is. So after you do some cable management, it will look great, and I'm gonna give your setup a 4.5 out of 5 as it was just the cables. Let's move on to the next setup. The last setup in this video is gonna be from BroMan. BroMan has a lot going on here, and there's a lot to talk about. As we can see here, this guy has a yellow Ethernet cable going through his desk. Come on. I talked to him yesterday about that, and I just laughed because that's pretty funny. You can just route this cable either under the desk or get a longer cable and route it on the floor or under the desk by going up this pole instead of that cable like that. He can't really manage these cables as it's some sort of server type thing, but for your whole setup, he's moving it in a few months, so he said he didn't want to do cable management until then, which I understand, but a few months is kind of a long period of time. So if I were you, I would highly recommend doing some cable management. All you need to do is take some zip ties. Even if they hang down instead of being on the desk, it will look so much better. And for your headphones, please take them off the floor before you roll over them and just put them right there, or even get some sort of cheap headphone hanger and hang them off your desk. I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier in the video, but I will be having a video with Scxrpion coming out next week, Wednesday or Saturday. We're going to be talking about this custom keyboard he built here where he designed the PCB himself. It's going to be a great video, so definitely stay tuned for that. But anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, please consider dropping a like and maybe even subscribing. Comment down below who you think was your favorite setup, and that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you all for watching.